Hello English 111. This is my fifth speech for this online class at the campus for these panoramic audience. They will be listening to my speech today. Alright, let's begin. Every year, undefeated college football teams are left out of the Bowl Championship Series game only because they are not in the partnership. Personally, having been a longtime fan of college football, I believe that the polls and computer ranking system are often unfair and keeps the best two teams from actually playing each other. The NCAA should change the current bowl system to a more sensible playoff system, which would always allow the best two teams to play each other for the championship title. The really messed up thing about the college bowl series games is that the organization often doesn't allow other teams into it, and it's very hard for teams that are not currently in the bowl, the BCS, to get into it just because they're like a cartel and they don't allow other college football teams out of Division I into it to play for the championship game. A 2007 Gallup poll showed that 85% of college football fans supported a change to a playoff system in some kind, and 69% of fans preferred an idea of a playoff tournament involving a top 4, 8, or 16 team bracket to replace the bowl games. First of all, the teams that are picked for the bowl games are usually picked unfairly. If a team loses one game, they are sometimes out of the national championship. But then again, if a team loses twice, there's a low chance that they would qualify for any BCS game, which pretty much makes the entire season not even worth playing for them and unexciting because they have nothing to look forward to. And it really leaves out some of the best teams. Like a team could go up and beat up the top 5 teams and not be able to get in the bowl just because they lost the two games early in the season due to an injury or just bad coaching or anything like that. Independent teams such as Notre Dame are not required to play a rigorous conference schedule and can boost their strength of a schedule by playing 2 legitimate national championship contenders and then stacking the rest of the schedule with cream puffs, like teams that have very low records, 2-13, Division II teams. Then they end up getting into a bowl game without actually deserving to be in it. My next point is that the BCS human polls are often subject to bias. 1/3 of the standings are based on how coaches rank the teams, which assumes that the coaches have enough time each week to watch all the games while also preparing their team for their upcoming opponent that week, which just seems illogical and unfair. Teams not belonging to a partnership are theoretically eligible for selection to the final game, but there has never been a pick of a non-conference team in a national game, even though there has been undefeated teams. In 2004, 5 teams finished the regular season undefeated, but only Oklahoma and the University of Southern California were invited to the championship. In 2008, Utah went undefeated, but the computers preferred 2 one-loss BCS schools, or Utah wasn't in the BCS before this, on the bias of the schedule strength. Utah actually ended up playing ended the year as the nation's only unbeaten squad, but didn't have a chance to play for the championship. Many people who support the BCS often say that the bowl games gives huge profit to the schools and help other sports, but this is actually untrue. Alabama, for example, had to give most of its $18.5 million it earned to making last year's national championship to the Southeast Conference, keeping just $2,430,400 after expenses, which includes meals and lodging for only 800 staff, players, band members, and cheerleaders. The Crimson Tide came out in the red, losing $1,866,232. A playoff system would give each school an opportunity to earn a fair share of the revenue distributed to the 11 conferences in the football bowl system, since the BCS conference automatically qualifies for BCS bowl games. They receive a disproportionate amount of the annual bowl revenue since football earnings fund other sports. This disparity affects athletes in all other sports. Ultimately, a playoff system would be way better than any current bowl system that they have now. For example, everyone knows about March Madness for NCAA basketball, which has a bracket like this. And how awesome would it be before that even? How awesome would it be to be able to do another bracket with only football teams in it and having a little bit of a lesser time period to play them, probably one game a week, but it would still be a huge event for most sports watchers, including myself. That pretty much concludes my speech. I hope you all have a wonderful day and have a good night.